Google is that those two guys who created that are two of the smartest young men in the whole country. And it's much more fun to be copied by people that smart than
we even think they were smarter than we thought they were last week.
Yeah, we now think they're a lot smarter. Yeah. Warren and I are a little older than some people, and
they're everybody.
And we're not the most flexible, probably, in the whole world. And of course, if something as extreme as this internet development happens, and you don't catch it, why, other people are going to blow by you. And I don't mind not having caught Amazon early. The guy is kind of a miracle worker. It's very peculiar. I give myself a pass on that. But I feel like a horse's ass for not identifying Google better. I think Warren feels the same way.
Yeah.
We screwed up.
He's saying we blew it. And we did have some insights into that because we were using them at GEICO and we were seeing the results produced, and we saw that we were paying $10 a click or whatever it might have been for something that at a marginal cost to them it was exactly zero, and we saw it was working for us. So
we can see in our own operations how well that Google advertising was working, and we just sat there sucking our thumbs.
Right.
So we're ashamed. We atone. We're trying to atone. Maybe Apple was atonement.
When he says sucking our thumbs, I'm just glad he didn't use some other example.
I know the fellows that run Google pretty well, and we do a lot of business with them at GEICO. We buy a lot of keywords from them. It's not hard to see that Google is a phenomenal company, but Google is valued at about $200 billion in the market now. So to make 14% a year, Google has to be valued at $400 billion in 5 years. It may very well be. It may be valued at $500 or $600 billion, but I'm not smart enough to figure that out. They have, in tech, you get change, and the question is who is the best at predicting change? And I'm not really very good at that. I will predict that Tech will do wonderfully over time, but it will do modifications of what it's doing now, but the basic situation will be the same, and they will be delivering a superior product. There are all kinds of people that would love to take away Google's business from them. They're going to have a tough time doing it, but I can't make a better prediction about whether that will happen.
I'm very pleased that the fellows at Google decided, and they say I think they used the word inspired by the Berkshire Owner's Manual, and it obviously pleases us enormously that other people think that it's a good idea to talk to their owners, or in their case their prospective owners, in a very straightforward manner. If you buy into Google, having read their owner's manual, I think you'll know the kind of people you're associating with. You'll know what they will do and won't do. It's the kind of thing that one person would say to another if you were setting up a partnership and you said, I'd like you to join me in a partnership. I need your money, and here's the way we're going to do business. And I think more companies, obviously, I think more companies ought to do it. It's been simple for us at Berkshire. We've had these principles in mind for a long time, and we really want people to understand those principles before they join with us. And the Google fellows, in a very straightforward manner, I liked their prose. Doesn't mean I agree with every idea they have, but I do know what ideas they do have, and I hope more companies sign on for that sort of thing. Charlie?
Well, most of the world does not in any way imitate Berkshire Hathaway. This is a quirky few. There may be 19,500 of you that came, but it's still a quirky few by the standards of the country. And what's interesting about Google is that those two guys who created that are two of the smartest young men in the whole country. And it's much more fun to be copied by people that smart than
we even think they were smarter than we thought they were last week.
Yeah, we now think they're a lot smarter. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch that. I mean, and my guess is that their annual reports are going to make very good reading. They're actually going to alternate the two of them in writing the reports, and I think you'll know a lot about them and a lot about their business if you read it. Although they had an interesting, as I remember, they had an interesting sentence or two in there, which I admired also, where they said that certain of the things that might affect their business prospects really would be better left unsaid in terms of competition and so on, and if so, they weren't going to tell you. I kind of enjoyed that.
Well, I should have had some insight into, because Geico was a heavy user very early on. So here we saw value in something at that time. I have no idea what we're paying per click now, but we were paying $10 or $11 a click for something that had no cost of goods sold, and we were going to keep doing it. I mean, we could see that. So I should have had more insight into that. Now, whether Bing was going to come along or other people were going to take away the market, that's another question. Whether you had sort of a first user advantage that would prevail. And there is a lot of technology to it. So somebody could have come along with a better technological product, and I would not have had any insights into that. I certainly had insights into the benefit to the user. I think Blazer Surgeon or something like that, I think it may have sold for $60 or $70 or something of the sort. And mesothelioma, I mean, I don't know what it brings now, but just imagine having something every time you just hit a click, the cash register rung somewhere out in California. So it was and is an extraordinary business, and it has some aspects of a natural monopoly. I mean, it's very easy for me when I go to the computer. I've worked with Google before, but I'm looking for information for the annual report. I used to have to mail away to federal agencies or go down to the public library, and now I can get it in 10 seconds. So it's a hugely valuable device, which the other guy pays for. The user on the computer doesn't. Yeah, the answer is we missed it. And I knew the fellows. They came to see me before they did.
Sergey and Larry came to see you.
Yeah, and actually Eric did too.
And Eric.
Yeah, I liked him.
This question is from Ken Scarbeck in Indianapolis. He says, with the full understanding that Warren had no input on the Amazon purchase and that relative to Berkshire, it's likely a small stake, the investment still caught me off guard. I'm wondering if I should begin to think differently about Berkshire looking out, say, 20 years. Might we be seeing a shift in investment philosophy away from value investing principles that the current management has practiced for 70 years? Amazon is a great company, yet it would seem its heady shares 10 years into a bull market appear to conflict with being fearful when others are greedy. Considering this and other recent investments like StoneCo, should we be preparing for a change in the price versus value decisions that built Berkshire?
Yeah, it's interesting that the term value investing came up, because I can assure you that both managers and one of them bought some Amazon stock in the last quarter, which will get reported in another week or 10 days. He is a value investor. The idea that value is somehow connected to book value or low price earnings ratios or anything, as Charlie has said, all investing is value investing. I mean, you're putting out some money now to get more later on, and you're making a calculation as to the probabilities of getting that money and when you'll get it and what interest rates will be in between, and all the same calculation goes into it, whether you're buying some bank at 70% of book value or you're buying Amazon at some very high multiple of reported earnings. Amazon, the people making the decision on Amazon are absolutely much value investors, as I was when I was looking around for all these things selling below working capital years ago. So that has not changed. The two people that, one of whom made the investment in Amazon, they are looking at many hundreds of securities, and they can look at more than I can because they're managing less money and their universe, possible universe, is greater. But they are looking for things that they feel they understand what will be developed by that business between now and Judgment Day and cash. And it's not sales. Current sales can make some difference. current profit margins can make some difference. Tangible assets, excess cash, excess debt, all of those things go into making a calculation as to whether they should buy A versus B versus C. And they are absolutely following value principles. They don't necessarily agree with each other or agree with me, but they are very smart. They are totally committed to Berkshire, and they're very good human beings on top of it. So I don't second guess them on anything. Charlie doesn't second guess me on. In 60 years, he's never second guessed me on an investment. And the considerations are identical when you buy Amazon versus some, say, bank stock that looks cheap statistically against book value or earnings or something of the sort. In the end, it all goes back to Aesop, who in 600 BC said, that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And when we buy Amazon, we try and figure out whether, or the fellow that bought it tries to figure out whether there's 3 or 4 or 5 in the bush, and how long it'll take to get to the bush, how certain he is that he's going to get to the bush, and then who else is going to come and try and take the bush away, and all of that sort of thing. And we do the same thing, and it really, despite a lot of equations you'll learn in business school, the basic equation is that of Aesop, and your success in investing depends on how well you were able to figure out how certain that bush is, how far away it is, and what the worst case is. Instead of two birds being there, only one being there, and the possibilities of 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 being there. And that will guide me, that will guide my successors in investment management at Berkshire, and I think they'll be right more often than they're wrong. Charlie?
Well, I